Hey y'all, welcome back to the Conversation with Friends podcast. I'm your host, Bri, and on this week's episode, I wanted to discuss mental health. It's a very important topic that I wanted to cover starting and coming into the new year. We have a lot of people that experience seasonal depression at the end of the year, go through times of loneliness because of not having family, not having a partner, or losing loved ones in their lives. So I wanted to bring in some professionals because we need some help, y'all. I'm gonna have y'all introduce yourselves and tell the people your titles or your profession and what you do.
I guess I'll go first. My name is Aaliyah. I am a licensed professional counseling supervisor in Texas and Louisiana. I specialize in minority women's issues, meaning anxiety, depression, work-to-life balance, relationship stress, family stress, all those good things we be stressing about as women.
Now, I'm Thaddeus Tolbert, licensed professional counselor associate. Will be upgraded next month. I specialize in children, adolescents, family, and trauma.
Awesome. I'm gonna bring my kid to you.
Bring them on.
These new age kids are different, honey. Different.
He had a meltdown last week, and I'm like, let me take a minute because I don't know what to do. But I wanted to start off with an icebreaker just to get us loose and flowing. But it's a quick game of this or that. You just
Let's go.
Answer how you please. All right. Ketchup or ranch?
Oh, that's a hard one. I like both. I'm gonna say ranch because I put ranch on more
everything.
stuff. So I'm gonna say ranch.
Ranch.
It is a both for me as well, but ketchup been my thing since a kid. So yeah, I'm gonna go ketchup.
Mine probably would be ranch. I put more things on with ranch than ketchup.
Something like ranch is it.
Vacation or staycation?
Oh, vacation.
Please.
ASAP. Sign me up.
Yesterday.
Immediately. Vacation, definitely.
Okay. Yes.
Rich and famous or rich and unknown?
Rich and unknown me, please.
All day.
Yeah, rich and unknown. I want to be off the grid with it.
Okay, we on the same line.
Family,
Again,
friends,
all the
people are
crazy
always
stuff.
roaches. So, we wanna be off the grid.
Blind date or double date?
Double date, because if it goes wrong, I have somebody to bounce off of.
That's true.
Versus blind, we're gonna just be sitting here
Crazy.
looking at each other confused.
Calling somebody to save me.
Exactly. So double date. So we have some options of bouncing off stuff.
Yeah.
Definitely double date. It's fun that way.
Okay, call or text?
Ooh, text, don't call me.
Yeah, text me first.
Really?
Yeah.
See, I'm a phone call type of person. I want to talk on the phone like we was kids.
I don't know about you, but I talk to people all day as a therapist.
Yeah.
So, and a lot of people want to small talk and keep what do you want? Text message, you usually get straight to the point.
Yeah, that's true.
I don't, and then I'm usually at work or in session or doing something. So text, call, it might take me 2-3 days to call you back.
I understand. And please don't FaceTime me out the blue. That's the one that I don't like.
That one. I'm definitely gonna look at my watch
I say that, but I'm guilty of it too.
Of doing
if I
it.
need to I don't really like it, but I'm guilty. If I got something I want to say, I need to see. Or if you're not answering, I need to see your background, where you at, what you doing, what's going on.
I know that's right. Investigate the scene.
Yes, yeah, I even do that with my son. Let me see what's going on.
So I do that with my son.
Let me see your background.
For sure.
What they saying in the background?
I'm I need a 360 aerial view. Okay.
Everything.
Okay. Organize everything or plan nothing.
Oh, organize everything. I'll go crazy if nothing's planned.
Really? Even on vacation?
Ooh, we gotta have the basics, at least one activity per day.
Okay.
At least I know something that's gonna happen. We could fill in everything else, but I need
to at least know where we're going.
Something. I need one thing to look forward to.
Yeah. What about you?
I think it just depends, but most of the part, I would nowadays I want to be more organized or whatever. It was a point where I'm you know what, bro, whatever, what do I send my money?
Right.
But now I'm nah, let's get it back. I want to know what we doing, when, where, and how.
With age, we mature a little bit. Ambition or comfort?
Ambition. Comfort will get you nowhere, right? You have to get uncomfortable to grow.
That's true. I feel the same way.
Yeah, definitely ambition. Getting caught up in the loop. I like to say, you get caught up in the loop, you make your exit. And Houston traffic, you missed that exit.
You're going to have to restart. It's going to take a minute.
A whole nother hour.
An hour and a half, yeah.
Success or happiness?
Happiness.
Happiness.
Definitely happiness.
I agree. And the last one, a world with or without social media?
I'm gonna have to say without, because I don't know, because like with it, it's so damaging. But there's the positive, like my family that's out of state because I'm not from here. Like to be able to see them and interact. Like, so if we didn't have social media, like is email count as social media?
I know, right?
That's why I'm like, are they have to mail me these pictures? Because if that's the case, I ain't gonna never. Yes, I'm like, I'm gonna have to opt out on that one. I don't know.
You don't know, huh? It is hard. What about you?
I'm going to say, I'm going to do with, even before here, I shared my link, was like, hey, not accepting referrals or whatnot. So,
that is true. It is convenient. Business owners, what would our business be like if
we didn't have social media? That's true, because you reach the masses and you reach people that you wouldn't normally reach if you were just.
So, if that's the case, I'm gonna vote for with, because I would be unemployed probably.
I couldn't imagine having to like walk on foot and pass out cards these days, Girl, to get the word out there.
In this Houston heat,
baby, please,
no, baby, not at all.
And I just wanted to take some time to just talk about how the end of y'all's new year was, holiday season and all of that.
For me, I guess it was overall pretty good. My mom was a part of those group of people who got stuck in the airport for like 24 hours. So we had all these plans. We were going to do Christmas Eve and everything like that.
So she missed Christmas?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So that kind of sucked because it was supposed to be me, her, and my son. But outside of that, it was pretty good. I did a lot of stuff for my son. So just to kind of see him happy and see everybody else. So, I mean, for me, overall, it was really good. And I like to like count down for the new year because I'm one of those big like new year, new me. Let's make a vision board. Let's set some goals. So I was really just kind of amping myself up more for the new year. So I think, the holidays, like it was like it's kind of waved by for me.
Yeah. And what about you?
Yeah, I can definitely say the same thing. Excuse me. I got to spend time with everyone, my mom's side, dad's side, the bros, friends, and even got time to take time for myself, creating a vision board. This was definitely a journey, coming to this point or whatever. So coming into 23, I wanted to make sure that I aligned with all of my own goals or whatever, because I cannot advocate and speak on these things to my clients or whatnot and not be doing those same things. Yeah. So I like to be a model of the same things that I'm telling my clients in and out of session.
Okay. So normally I do set like goals for the new year and say, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. I did have some things in mind, like even starting this podcast. I was planning it out last year, but I didn't have a hard concrete, let me write down what I'm going to accomplish this year. Cause I had to start just taking it like bit by bit, day by day. And let me just focus on one thing at a time instead of me making a grand scheme of things. But I know that's another reason why I wanted to talk about this is I know a lot of people do set goals for, the new year. And like you said, new year, new me. But for some people that can create a lot of pressure on them and a lot of weight that you got to carry in to live up to those things. And I don't know, this year I just said, I'm going to just come into this new year and I'm going to keep on with the plans I already had. And then we're going to get to it.
I hate to sound cliche, but I think that that's an okay approach for it. Because a lot of people, like we want these big goals, but then like whenever we don't make significant progress towards them, you feel like deterred or defeated. So a lot of times I tell my clients to start off with that. Just set a goal for the week. Like say you've already did dang.
It's all right, you girl.
The damn thing with the podcast. But for me, I would tell my clients to just start off small. Listen to some podcasts that you like. Research some apps about podcasts. Like sometimes it is just taking those smaller steps and focusing on, well, what do I have now? What are my strengths and what can I do? So I think that that's a great plan. Like for me, yes, I'm finna write out these 3 years plan. That's my personality because half the time God be laughing at me because it be shifting every year. but I think that that's still a great start. And I think that right now in today's society, with everybody thinking like, think big, bitch. Like, it has to be that. But it's ultimately, some people make a tremendous amount more progress just starting off very small. So I think that should be a method that's not like, Like, that's the okay way to go. Like, that's still making the same amount of progress. It's still setting goals, period. Yeah. Whether they're long-term, short-term, small or big, like setting a goal is productive.
Yeah. So we can go ahead and get into the topics. Had a few people write in about some things that they wanted to discuss. Let's see, where we're going to start. So I guess we can start right here since we were just talking about the end of the year. How do you shake back from holiday and seasonal depression and not carry it into the new year?
I would agree kind of what you had said earlier, making sure during that time that you're practicing self-care. Because I know for me, like on social media, I was advocating a lot for saying no, like not to try to wear yourself out during those times. Because a lot of times we want to spend time with family. We want to buy all these gifts, but we might not be capable. So I feel like making sure that during this time, yes, it's for joy, giving, family, and love, but also starting that with loving yourself, finding joy within yourself, like starting a new routine. Like, I think just focusing in on me and what's best for me right here and now, I think is a great way to kind of reset or make sure that you are creating that space for that.
Yeah, just to piggyback off of that, that makes me think of a post one of my classmates and good friends made, like, oh, we have a few more days and I'm cutting everybody off. And I was like, girl, forget them people. Cut their butt off now. Like, go ahead and get the practice of it in the routine and looking out and loving you. Of course, holiday season, we've embedded, of course, it's for family and being joyous and loving one another. But if you're not actually in that space, so many people fake the funk and like try to force themselves to be in that space and get frustrated, going broke, trying to buy gifts and everything. It's okay to be honest, like, hey, I can't do this right now or whatever. I have to love on me. So actually being intentional on loving on me and not just trying to force it and fake the funk with people. So I think that's a great start of trying to shake that funk and get out of that seasonal depression.
Or even sometimes I think like we might even need to go back a little bit, just acknowledging it. Because a lot of times we get so stuck in like the day-to-day just doing, we don't acknowledge that, hey, I actually feel down or like my mood is real off. So I think the first step might even be acknowledging it, that like, hey, like this ain't right. Like I need to take a moment and figure out like what's wrong and what can I do to adjust or improve.
Yeah. I haven't ever experienced seasonal depression, but I did experience depression this last year of my life, and that was like a new experience. And so whenever I started going through it, I didn't know what it was. And so until I got to a point where I said, I'm tired of feeling like this. And I did have to acknowledge it, like you said, and I made very like conscious decisions, just like both of y'all just said. Y'all good.
We went to school long enough.
You do this for a living. But I had to make a serious effort to really focus on me. Because I am a person that everybody calls on. Yes. And I'm considered to be that strong person. And I do a lot. Like I have my own business. I have children. And then I had lost my father last year, and that just hit me out of nowhere. I didn't expect to have the emotions that I had, but I had to like really take a step back and isolate myself and say, no, I can't come here. Can't do that. And slowly work myself back up to me. And so now I'm the queen of no's.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is my thing. It's also the no's, but then not feeling guilty. It's okay. Not feeling like you have to give a statement. Like I have to advocate and tell my clients all the time, it could be no period. Like I don't owe you an explanation. Right. I don't owe you a reason of why I can't come, why I can't do. Like, no, thank you.
Yeah. And I did have to get to a point where I felt okay to do that, because it used to feel bad, and I used to feel so much pressure, but I'm like, the pressure got to go.
And that's one thing for me. I'm focusing on this. You're saying no as a form of self-care. Like, because again, everybody wants you to do. But if I'm pouring into y'all so much, I'm empty. So I have to start saying no. It's you or me, and I choose me. Every time.
Amen.
All day.
There it is.
All day. Okay. So I have another question. What are some tips for navigating your 30s and showing up as your most authentic self?
Being you, period. So many people, like saying, we're going back to the social media thing, they base their lives off of what JoJo doing on Instagram or what this person doing. You know, JoJo might be the scammer from the hood or whatnot, and then you see this girl over here is one of the IG models and getting flued out everywhere and stuff. And so many people base their lives off of what these people are doing, but behind the scenes, you don't know what they're struggling with. You know, they can be living a glamorous life or on live and in camera or whatever, and behind those closed doors, they're fighting demons and dealing with those things. And as we talk about breaking generational curses or whatnot, so being authentic with yourself and saying like, hey, I'm not okay. You know, so many people take it as, oh, I'm not strong if I cry or if I tell someone I'm not okay. But like, I'd like to tell my clients, like, to me, especially Black males that come to see me, that is the most powerful thing for a Black man to look at someone, especially a Black woman, to say, hey, queen, I'm not okay. I need help.
Yeah.
I would 100% agree, because that's one thing I advocate to my clients, because they always come in like with things like, well, I should have my career figured out. I should be married. I should have kids. And I'm like, where was this rule written at? Who told you that? Like, but again, a lot of that they get from social media or from family ties. So I think it is kind of what you said, taking that time to figure out self, like what is for me? Like, yes, everybody is having babies around this time, but actually, you know what? I want to get my PhD. Like, these are my goals. So unfortunately, and I'm saying this as a mother, them kids gonna slow you down if you try to do all that, because you got to get a babysitter, you got to try to study, and they want to eat, and you got to clean.
Gotta
like,
take care of the kids.
Baby, they a full-time job, you know, and a full-time paycheck. So I think that it's going to be good to just take time of what's best for me. What is my timeline? What do I want? And I think the 30s is so prime, because it's that age of like, I'm out of my 20s where I'm partying and like just doing whatever, like YOLO lifestyle. Yeah. But then like, I'm not quite 40 where I should feel established, or, you know, I'm on the other side of the hump. So I think the 30s is so prime in like cultivating like who you want to be in the direction that you want to go, and being, again, true to yourself. Yeah.
So one question that I ask, you know, I like to, I bring this question up in sessions, but then that's one of my daily reflective questions to myself. Who am I? Literally 100% of the people that comes into a session with me, and I have that on a whiteboard in our room, who am I? They stumble over that question. Yeah. Or whatever. Even myself, you know, because I take the time to be critical of myself, you know, like if I'm going to analyze someone else and be critical of them, I have to be able to do the same for myself. Yeah. And so when I'm doing my daily reflections, who am I? Did I accomplish all that I set out to do this day? If I didn't, how can I do better next time? Right. Or whatever.
I like that. I might steal that for some of my clients. I might have to steal that.
Go ahead. Y'all steal that too. Like that is like real intentional work with self or whatever.
But outside of like, I'm assuming outside of like your current descriptors, like, okay, like I wouldn't be like, okay, yeah, I'm just a therapist. Like, exactly. It requires you to dig a little deeper of like
really think about it.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I like that.
It talking about the real work with separating the role from the identity, because so many people intertwine those two. Oh, I'm a mother, I'm a father, I'm a therapist, I'm an educator, whatnot. But we have to be able to separate from that. You know, who are you?
I like that a lot.
You know, I always, when I meet new people, or like when I was when I would be dating, I would ask people like, what makes you happy? And that was another question that people really didn't know, what made them happy. And it's, I guess I like to really stay in tune with myself. And like you said, you ask yourself that question. I ask myself that question, what makes me happy? Very often. It's not an everyday thing, although I probably should and add yours in. But asking people what makes them happy, literally,
I would agree, because
don't have an answer to that question.
Because it's like I work so much, or again, like you said, I'm a mother, I'm a father, all those things, but they genuinely don't know what makes them happy. And I feel like you really shouldn't be dating if you don't know what makes you happy, because how are you going to be expecting somebody else to kind of make you happy if you don't really know how to make yourself happy? So I feel like if you can't answer that question,
I need to move
you
on
should
to
be
the next.
at home trying to figure it out
for real. Because
start dating yourself. That's what I advocate for my clients to do. Date yourself. Like, try new places by yourself. Because I mean, you find a partner and they're like, "What do you want to do? What do you like?" You're gonna be like, "I don't know." Like,
whatever you want to do,
if you don't know,
exactly. It's like you don't even know
yourself.
You
want to go eat, babe?
I hate that.
Well, the eating is different because I like all foods. But like with activities and stuff, like women, we don't never know what we want to eat, but just feed us.
Please feed me. Okay, so how do you communicate with and have a relationship with someone that doesn't take accountability for their actions? This is a 2-part question. The second part is, what if that person was a parent?
Take this how you want. I think everybody's free game. Parents, friends, auntie, uncles, grandparents. My dad always raised me. You could say whatever you want to whoever you want. It's all about how you say it and your delivery. So therefore, if mama is acting like that, we're going to have a nice conversation. Like assertively communicate how I feel and assertively communicate what my boundaries are. And she can get with it, or we might only see each other on the holidays.
You know, a lot of people like to say, and including myself, you know, I was one of those type that, hey, I like to pick my battles or whatnot. But with advocating for yourself, you should be able to articulate and talk about how you're thinking and how you're feeling. If someone's uncomfortable with that, really think about it. Is that my problem or yours? Because I'm being true and I'm being genuine to myself. And one of those things that I believe in is just being you is being genuine to you.
Yeah.
So if you're not okay, it's okay to say, I'm not okay. You shouldn't be in your head thinking about, oh, well, I'm not trying to pick another fight or whatever, because your intention is to communicate with that other person, your potential partner or whatever, like, hey, I'm not feeling okay. What can we do about that? And if they are raising hell about it, then maybe they're not that person for you. We have to be honest with that. You know, so many people, we depend on other people emotionally or whatnot, and we're not being true to ourselves, and we're living in misery or whatnot, and that's not a way to live.
And a lot of times I think we give like our parents especially passes to beat us up emotionally and say, oh, well, that's my mama. I can't say how I really feel, or I can't address this issue because that's my daddy. And I learned a couple of years ago, I had to really set concrete boundaries for my parents. And I feel I am that person, like how you said, everybody is fair game. And I'm a tough love type of person, because I'm going to tell you exactly what it is, exactly what you're doing to make me feel a certain way. And either you going to respect it or you're not. But I'm going to be okay over here.
But I also do want to make sure that we advocate for this, because as I'm saying, yeah, it's okay to set boundaries and cut people off. I do advocate too that you need to communicate. Communicate to people. This is my issue with how you handle it. This is how I would like it to be handled. Give them the opportunity to make those changes. And then if they don't, then we can cut you off and it's free game. But I do think that a lot of people have expectations on, oh, they should know how I want to be treated, or they should know why I don't like this, or why they don't understand that. But everybody comes from different backgrounds, has had different experience. So everybody doesn't know that. So I think that it's fair to communicate first before we start trying to just jump to conclusions or cutting people off.
Yeah.
Indeed. And one thing that I believe that goes with that is that survival over love conversation or whatnot. You know, if you learn and know how you would like to be loved or whatnot, communicating these things will be easy. And then if someone's not loving you the way that you need to be loved, then, you know, you're gonna have to go ahead and do what you have to do to make sure that you are loving yourself with the way that you need to be loved and not depending on that other person.
Because that'll build resentments and stuff long term. So definitely like staying true to your needs and your expectations and communicating them.
Yeah. So what if you communicate that to a person, like how you want to be loved? Like, let's say, for instance, I went through a situation where I felt like maybe, I guess, prior to this situation happening, I hadn't just came out and said how I like to be treated, or how I like for somebody to show up for me. But then a situation happened, and I didn't feel like the people in my life showed up the way that I needed them to. And then after that, I communicated it to them and told them how I would like to receive the affection and love in the future. And then something else happened, and I still got the same response.
I want to just ask a few questions. How did you communicate it? Was it when I was already mad? And this, I'm telling y'all, it was a very calm.
I took a long time before, because I am that type of person. I don't say things. I feel like I got a filter in my brain or something. I don't say things right in the moment. I take time to think about it. And so I took probably like a month to think about it. And I wrote things in my notes, and then I formed the entire note.
Okay,
and then I
I'm here
sent
for
it
that. Okay.
to the person that I needed to send it to, and which they acknowledged it, they apologized, and they didn't have any clue of like how I was feeling or nothing like that or whatever, and we moved forward. But then when another situation similar to that happened again,
and they reacted the exact same way.
The exact same way.
Okay, that's a time for me to just take a step back.
Mm-hmm.
Because if I've communicated, you acknowledge that you comprehended and understood, and then still lack, then unless they double back with accountability.
Yeah.
I'm always big on, if I have no problem with forgiving, as long as you're being accountable for your actions and have a plan for change. Because you can't just keep being accountable and just keep doing the same thing. So you have to have a plan for change as well.
Because you got so many people caught up in that contemplative mindset or whatnot. It's like, well, hey, maybe if you wouldn't have done this, then I wouldn't have did that or whatever, you know, and gaslighting stuff, you know, you can miss me with that or whatnot.
So this is a funny one. Well, I guess not funny, but it's real because I feel like a lot of us have experience, especially as Black people in the church. How do you feel about the church saying you don't need therapy, you only need Jesus?
I feel like that should be an uber myth by this time.
Okay.
Because some of the churches that I have attended, they definitely advocate for therapy.
Yeah.
And I think that any true person who practices the Bible, like in the Bible, it talks about like consulting others of like who have, I'm not going to say like hire who are professionals in that field. So why would we be here and why would he advocate for that in other situations, but not in regards to your mental health?
Right.
So I hope that churches still ain't out here telling people that. But I'm sure there are those small churches, but I think that people should definitely outsource.
And I think a lot of times it's like the older folks. It's not really necessarily the church itself. It's the people there.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I was about to say. I don't think, or I don't hope churches are advocating for that, but it's the, like you said, the older generation. But you have to think that older generation is the same mindset of like, what happens in this house stays in this house. Don't go tell my business. Like, I mean, according to them, if we want to be dramatic, like Jesus could fix, like just praying could fix like your feelings of molestation or rape or something like that. So, I mean, we have to know that those beliefs are kind of dated, but some people, once they get to a certain age, you can't change. So again, we set that boundary. I'm gonna let you over there. My mental health and therapy is just something we don't discuss because I know your views. So you don't speak on it, I don't speak on it. And let's talk about how the pie tastes.
Exactly.
And let's keep it moving.
Yeah, I'm like, you know, it's part of the wellness cycle for a reason or whatever. You know, we can't ignore, of course, you know, spirituality or whatnot, you know, including myself as the counselor. You know, I came to terms just a couple months ago that I was neglecting myself spiritually, you know, that I believe in a higher being in God, you know, in Jesus Christ as my savior and whatnot. So a lot of that, what I was battling on my own, you know, I had to take it to the altar, you know, take it to the throne or whatnot. So, you know, we can't ignore that piece, but that's not the only thing. You know, we can't just say, oh, you know, just growing up, you know, for me, you know, I wasn't into the Bible like that because it was something punitive or whatever. As soon as I made a mistake, you know, one was like, oh, you sinned, get on your knees and read this Bible and pray for forgiveness. Like, look at the 10 Commandments or whatnot. And, you know, if we just continue to go on with that old school thinking or whatnot, we're going to keep perpetuating those poor behaviors or whatnot, you know. And then a lot of the things that I know that I perpetuated, you know, poorly or whatnot, you know, I do this exercise for myself called baggage claim. And I brought it into the session, you know, what is that baggage that was projected onto you that doesn't belong to you? You know, picture yourself being at the airport. How many pieces of luggage that you carry on your own? Now just imagine you carrying just as much, if not more, of that luggage of your family members. And they're all relying on you to carry that luggage through the airport. Yeah. Will you be able to survive that journey? No.
Not at
so
all. You will definitely
I'm giving back everything that does not belong to me. And, you know, rather I had to rely on spirituality or my social circle, going to my own counselor or whatnot, then so be it. But just saying that, hey, Jesus is the only answer or whatnot, and spirituality is the only answer, you know, I would totally disagree with that.
Yeah, I think it's just like the saying, faith without work is dead.
Girl, like, you took the word out my mind.
You gotta have faith, but you actually got to get to work and work on yourself. So I wanted to know, and this is something I wanted to know personally. How do you support a family member, loved one, friend that suffers from like a mental illness and not be too pushy or...
What extreme are we talking? Like just regular day-to-day depression or full out like schizophrenia and they're like spazzing day to day?
Let's say like bipolar disorder.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of times that people should just work on listening. Because a lot of times family members, friends, we want to fix, help. But a lot of times that's not what they want. I think that we should take time and listen to what their needs are. Also educating ourselves on that. Because even if we're talking about a term such as bipolar, a lot of people think that that's like so extreme. Like, oh, you're talking to yourself or back and forth. That could look like very different. Like a manic episode could look like somebody partying, hanging out every day and they seem happy. Then they go crash for like 5 days. So I think like just listening to what their needs are, being aware, educating yourself, and then just identifying resources. So whenever they do come to you and say like, okay, I think I can't handle this or I need help, then that's when you come in with it. Don't try to push things down their throat. Like, cause I tell people all the time, it doesn't, like the therapy process, psychiatric hospital, none of that works unless that person is willing to work and they want change. So by trying to force it on them, it's not going to help. It's going to help them rebel. So I think just, again, listening, being supportive and educating yourself.
Yes, facts. Everyone is not in the same place or whatever. Like, even though you could probably have your own issues and be like, oh, well, this is what worked for me. It should work for you or whatever. It's not just a say it all thing or whatnot. And we all have, we call it, the stages of change or whatnot. So with that, we have to be aware of that. So as a professional, I'm aware of that or whatnot. But my auntie Sue is not the professional. She's not aware of the stages of change or whatever. Yeah. So it's like I'm depending on you because you auntie or whatever. Auntie, I have a problem or whatnot. But so many of us, including in our Black community, our Black families, we want to fix everything. We want to be that person. I fixed him. If it wasn't for me, he wouldn't be where he is right now or whatever. We use that, as bragging rights or whatnot. So trying to be, coming up with that grand solution to fix people, that's not our role. Even me as a counselor, it's not my role to fix you or whatnot. I'm supposed to empower you with these tools for you to take this walk that you need to do to figure this thing out, how you can manage with something that you may be battling with for the rest of your life. So
let's pause on that. Let's blow this up one more time. Our job as therapists is not to fix you or not to tell you what to do. Because a lot of people think that I'm not going to go to them, so they just tell me what to do. They think they know everything. That is not our job, not our role. And if that is happening to you, it is unethical and call the state board. That is not what the therapy process looks like at all.
I've had so many people come in, be like, blah, 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 blah. Here's my problems. Fix me. I'm like, hold up, slow down. Let's slow down.
I learned
and back it up. It is not my role to fix you, to give you this magic pill, to give you this magic keyword, this saying, this prayer that you can say to yourself and all your problems go away. That is not reality. That is not real. And again, somebody selling you them false dreams, call them people.
Call the state board. But no, that's one thing I learned as an intern. I'm never going to work harder than my client. If you don't want it, I'm not going to outwork you. I learned that very young in school because that's when at that time I wanted to fix everybody. I wanted to have all the answers. And then later in my program, that's not my job. So
reality kicked in for real.
I guess part of that question too, I also wanted to know, this is something new that's going on in my life with a loved one. And I think the loved one is still stuck in sort of denial of what's actually going on. And it's hard for me to see that person exists in the denial phase and continue to do things that are not
What about
healthy.
Passive awareness, maybe sending podcasts of things that they might can probably relate to, but make not you need this, hey, I listened to this, it made me think of you, or this really helped me, maybe trying small things like that to help to create insight.
Okay.
But again, just also having more conversations with that person.
And listening. That is something that I need to do.
But then, within that, instead of trying to think like, hey, well, this is something that I do or whatever, that conversation is different. Like, girl, you need to do this because if you do this, it's going to fix you or whatever. A lot of times I'll be like,
and I got over it
real quick or whatever. I'll be like, hey, look, this is a podcast that I listen to. This is this audio book that I listen to. And it has this activity. It has guided questions or whatever. And this is how it's helping me. If you would like that, I can get it for you or not. But if not, hey, so be it. But I just wanted to offer you this support.
Or even just blatantly asking, how can I be a support for you during this time? What do you want from me to do? If that means as small as you just want somebody to come sit here with you, or if you need somebody to call and make sure you get up because you're sleeping in too much, like asking them, like in this moment, like, what do you need from me? What can I do?
Yeah.
Yes.
That's a good one. I'll add that to my notes too. Taking notes this whole time. So are there really different forms of therapy and do they really work? You know how people be like, I'm
100%
retail therapy. Is that really
wait, whoa. You're talking about that type of therapy. I'm talking about like educational, ethical, like cognitive behavioral therapy, person-centered therapy, EDMR. Did I say that right? EDMR, right? I don't practice that. But there's different theories and types of theory, like therapy, but I don't think like retail therapy is a real form of therapy. That's an outlet.
Yeah, that's just something we do just to be irresponsible.
Like music therapy isn't really like a real thing.
Right. Or like, some people say like they go to work out is their therapy.
I mean, it's not therapy, but I mean, technically it produces endorphins, which endorphins make you happy. So, I mean, but it's not therapy.
Yeah, we put that on that wellness cycle, that physical aspect. It's 8 dimensions of wellness that we speak of in that physical part. Taking it back to one of my homeboys, we talk about, being an alpha male or whatnot. We said alpha males, we have so much work to do because we have this way of thinking, this way of moving, and we carry the weight of the world on us. So we don't have an outlet, working out, boxing, or whatever, therapy, following that wellness cycle, then we are in buttload of trouble.
Because you still have those emotions when you leave the gym. Yes, they might still be suppressed or you might not be on the surface, but those emotions are still there. So I wouldn't really count that as like
real
actual therapy.
Yeah, like I don't, like it's a great temporary fix. And again, it is a part of the cycle of wellness, but
Because I'm a emotional eater. when I start to feel a certain way, I'm like, let me just go eat something real good, and I feel good right then. But then I got to come right back to what's really going on.
The cycle that starts. Like, yes, I'm emotionally eating, but then maybe I'm eating too much. I start becoming uncomfortable with myself, my appearance. Then like we're still in those emotions.
That's what I'm saying. I had to acknowledge that about myself and make a change because.
I mean, girl, we all struggle.
Yeah, we all have our vices and stuff.
It be like that.
This is true.
Even as therapists, we struggle. Shoot, I go to therapy, so like...
That's something that I wanted to ask y'all about too, because in my profession as a hairstylist, I and this is not to discredit y'all or make y'all feel any type of way, but I feel like these people be making me feel like I'm a whole therapist. They want to talk to you about all of their problems.
100%. That's why I give a lot of my cards to hairstylists, nail techs, especially because again, my demographic is minority women, and they want to vent to y'all all the time, and I'm like, girl, just slide them my cards.
Girl, give me some today because
got them. Yes.
I even tell my clients as well. I'm like, just how we be at the barbershop, just chopping it up and talking about this. This is barbershop talk or whatever. So just
but it stays here.
It stays here
and
or whatever.
There's no judgment.
There's no judgment and all of that. But just pretending by the end of the session, I'm like, so how'd you like? Yeah, bro, I feel like I just got this mean table or whatever. I'm good. I'm coming back. I'm definitely coming back. Like, I'm not going to cheat on you. I'm like, we're not going to cheat on our barbers or whatnot.
Right.
I'm coming back to you or whatever. And that's the space that I like to create.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people underestimate that. They think like therapy is like, oh, I'm laying on the couch and like you're picking my brain or try to tell me what to do. But naturally, it's a safe space for you to speak freely and to talk through your problems. Like it is a type of a form of companionship. I mean, there's boundaries, of course. Yeah. But yeah, I think that that's what people should start looking at therapy more as than like this super technical, or like you're going to get a physical or a MRI or something, like something, oh, it's so scary.
Yeah. And so with, so I have, I guess I was going to say a problem, but I don't want to call it a problem, but
A situation
where, with me being a hairstylist and with, people pouring so much on me every day, a lot of times, I guess I would consider myself something of a somewhat of an empath. Like I hold things, and I'm like, sometimes when I leave work, I don't want to hear the radio. I don't want to hear nobody talk. Like how you was saying, you talk so much. I don't want to hear nobody talk. I want to ride in silence. When I get home, sometimes, I got kids, so I can't just totally cut it off. But at some point, I want to just be in silence and be left alone. I don't want nobody bothering me. I don't even want nobody to call me sometimes. You know, I have to just cut people off because I need to just recharge. But I wanted to know, as therapists, how do y'all deal with that? Taking on so many people's stuff and then going back to living your life every day.
I'm really big on boundaries, even within like my scheduling and how I handle day-to-day business. In my intakes, I tell my clients, you know, I advocate, text me, please don't call me. Because if, you know, I'm in session, the quickest way is to text me because I don't want a whole bunch of phone calls. I stopped doing clients after 5 p.m. My first client I don't see is before 9 a.m. I'm usually on Thursdays, I'm off by noon. That's usually my self-care day. So setting a lot of boundaries. And I also allow 10 to 15 minutes in between session to kind of decompress, get some water, go to the bathroom, get a snack, and like just kind of let all that out. Even if that means like watching pointless videos on TikTok or playing Candy Crush, like something that I'm doing that I just don't have to think.
Yeah.
Like for me, like to just kind of decompress in between sessions and staying firm in my boundaries. And I also think that at the point that I am in my career, because I work for myself, I'm very choosy about the clientele that I take.
Hello.
So therefore,
That's
my clientele, yes,
That's
very big game changer.
Yes.
And I'm very comfortable with telling clients that like this, I might not be the therapist for you. Like, thank God there's a whole bunch of us Black therapists out here. I can give you a list of referrals, but I'm a little bit more choosier with my clientele. And I think that for me, that's a form of self-care because I can't burn myself out on certain clients. Then that's unfair to other clients and I won't be present for them. So I think I'm very strong in my boundaries and I like to travel like quarterly.
Hello.
Here it is.
And I started so like my off days are Sundays and Mondays, and I started to because people think that I'm at their disposal 24/7. They will text me, call me at 11 o'clock at night.
No response.
5 in the morning. You definitely not gonna get no response from me, but it's like a round the clock thing. I have people contacting me all the time. And so I had to start like on Sundays for sure. This is my time with
That's why
whatever
I
I'm doing.
Business phone, and I don't even that thing stays in my office when it's not office hours. The business phone stays in the office, so I don't see it, I don't hear it.
And that's probably what I need to do because I just ignore them.
To me. Yeah,
ignore them until Monday or Tuesday.
And I respond like I just good morning, even though you wrote back good morning.
Right.
2 days later, how are you? Yes, this is what I have. Like,
but it's a lot. It's a lot, and then I also I guess. Trying to get the people around me, my friends, my family to understand like that I deal with people on a day-to-day basis so much that sometimes I do need that time to myself. Trying to get them to understand that has been...
You just have to tell them.
Yeah.
And I think also stay firm in that. Like that's something me and my mom deal with, but my parents have got to understand, oh, okay, I can tell by your tone, you must not want to talk now.
Exactly.
You call me when you want to. I'm glad we understand because you're going to get real dry and I'm going to be,
That's the same thing I go through.
And I'm like, and as soon as I don't feel bad, they're like, oh, well, talk to me later. Okay, you deal with whatever emotions you have on that end and I'm going to continue decompressing.
Do what you got to do,
I already have to deal with one person that's not optional, my kid. Like, so everybody else gets to know.
Yeah, setting those boundaries and being assertive, firm, however, on those boundaries. My no is no. This is my time or whatnot. Like my schedule, how I'm set up Sunday and Mondays on my day is off as well. But even throughout the week, you know, my phone going do not disturb at 10 p.m. You know, and whatever's going on after that, I deal with it later. Whenever I wake up, you know, it goes off at 6 a.m., You know, a lot of times I'm up at 7 going to hit the gym or whatever. So I may look at it and respond. I may not. Like, I deal with it after the gym because this is my time. But whatnot. Counter-transference is real. But whatnot. And, you know, you can easily take home other people's drama, other people's demons and energy. So it's like, if you, like, this is my sanctuary, this is my safe haven, and you bring other people's stuff into their place, then you done disturb the groove, whatnot, and that's something that we cannot have
at all. I have one last topic, or question. How do you tell your significant other, loved ones, or friends that they need therapy?
Well, I have a lot of friends who are actively in therapy, but I be needing to tell them, like, hey, have you talked to your therapist recently? Because, you know, it's a lot. But I think that, I don't know, I guess because I'm biased, people already know that I advocate for therapy already. So after a certain extent, it'll be like, well, hey, have you thought about like talking to somebody about that? Or like, it seems like you're struggling, like you can't find answers. Nobody's giving you insight. How have you thought about talking about somebody unbiased? Or my first thing is like, you got EAP insurance, you can get free counseling. Like just, again, letting them know the resources that are out there. Because a lot of people don't know how to access therapy. So again, just letting them know the resources, and then also gauging like where they are at. Some people don't, like, again, if they don't want help, if they want to continue to hit rock bottom, I'm gonna just watch. And then when you come to me and let me know you need the resources, got them.
Yeah. A lot of peers, you know, family members and such, you know, because I am a counselor, you know, they come up and like, hey, well, what do you think about this? You know, I've been doing my research. What are some questions? You know, one of my great friends, you know, we had a 2-hour conversation, and I'm like, these are some of the questions that I've asked my counselors that I've had. And even that I encourage my clients to ask, you know, I'm like, hey, I'm an open book. Ask me anything. This is your process. This is your life. You're the expert of you. You know, who knows you better than you? Who knows that you need help, that you need this assistance, that you need these resources better than you? So closed mouths don't get fed. So if you're not speaking up and advocating for yourself, if you can speak up and say, oh, B, you got me effed up and this and that, and you can go rant on social media, well, now then take that same energy to do something productive and that's great for you.
That's good, you guys.
And also your tone, delivery, because you don't ever want to make it sound like minimizing or demeaning. Like, oh, you need therapy. Oh, you need to go talk to somebody about that. Or, oh, that's too much. Like your tone and delivery is always essential in anything.
Yes. Yeah. Okay, so for our next segment, I wanted to just close this out and us talk about some inspirational things. I wanted to ask you guys, who is your current inspiration?
I would say, because I know you gave us this question before, so I was prepared. I'm going to do the cliche. I'm going to say my mom, because the more that I have become a parent and reflected on this, the amount of sacrifices that she made to like break generational curses, which for me, I feel like I gave her, like she gave me that platform because we're from a small town in Pittsburgh. So from her being a single mother, moving to Texas on her own and just going back to school, like where we're from, not a lot of people have degrees. So like to just see her actually do that and be a product of that, because looking at some of my cousins, they didn't have the same childhood that I do or the same experiences to be able to go to college and things like that. So to see how much she did for me, it kind of inspires me to like, okay, well, I want to do more for my son so that like, you know, he can see this, or this will be what the next generation experiences. So my mama.
Yeah, I definitely learned too as a parent. That was something that as I got older and had my child, I gave my mom grace. Because I started to see, okay, this is what you go through as a parent. This is what it takes. Okay, this is why you did that. This is why you did this. Okay, I understand.
It gives you like a whole different perspective. That's why, like, before, like as a kid, like my mom, but like now as an adult, like and as a parent, like in a working parent, it's kind of like, dang, like you did all this, like, and y'all made less money than than we have now, like, and you how. Girl, you did your thing. And I was bad too. I did all that talking back. Like, girl.
I would definitely say my parents and my environment, my neighborhood, Third Ward. You know, I got bits and pieces of things from my dad. You know, my dad basically advocated and spoke. It was like, hey, like you going to college, you going to school, you know, introduced HBCUs into my life, and even, you know, told me, you know, the first things about my fraternity, Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated or whatnot, you know, just being that curious being or whatnot. You know, he gave me enough to inform me and make me aware. And whatever he didn't know and lack, you know, I had that within me to go get it. You know, my mom showed me a lot of, you know, work ethic or whatever. You know, I remember seeing my mom working different jobs, not knowing, you know, where she would lay her head at and things of that nature. And even, you know, struggling with her own things mentally while trying to raise 3 children or whatnot. And going to my environment, you know, I remember thinking back on one of my homeboys, Zay, you know, we call him Zay the Brick Boy or whatnot, that he said that, you know, we seen more funerals than grass spots or whatever. We never seen a lot of doctor, lawyers, or pilots come from our environment or whatnot. So we seen a lot of those negative things of what we had to aspire to look for. And, you know, with especially being of my stature, you know, a lot of people be like, oh, you're supposed to be in the league. You know, you should be on the NFL team or whatnot. But that it didn't work out that way, you know, and I'm like, God led me to this direction, you know, to be a model and be a pillar of my community, to be able to speak well for myself, of myself, and advocate and model the behaviors that I would like to see coming from my environment.
Yeah. My current inspiration has been, because it changes often, but one of them right now is Tabitha Brown.
Okay.
I really admire how she really exists like in her purpose and moves with her purpose. She's a believer of God. She's a wife, a mom, a business owner, entrepreneur. And that's something that I aspire to be. I ask God every day to put me where he needs me to be so that I can fulfill the purpose that he has for me here on this earth. And that's something that I feel like she exudes and lives in. And yeah, that's what I want to be like.
Girl, yes.
Okay.
Once God show you your purpose, baby, take off from there.
Okay.
Hey, it's up from there, yeah.
Okay. And that's something that a lot of people, well, I was there at one point in my life too, where I didn't know what my purpose was. And you spend time just existing, just being and not knowing where to go. But finding your purpose, it was a whole game changer for my life.
100%.
Who do you seek to inspire?
I seek to inspire minority women to let them know that like you can do it, like despite like there's other things, no offense, outside of being like an Instagram model, like there's other ways to like impact the world, make a difference, to be happy despite whatever obstacles that like you have thrown against you. Like for me, I know being a single mom, being young, Black, like at coming up in my field, like there wasn't a lot of people that looked like me. So it was kind of like, nah, like, and for me, I feel like I stay true to myself, my personality. Like we see here, I cuss. In real life, I curse. Like I feel like I try to stay genuine and transparent to the person that I am. So showing them like you could be you and still be successful in white America or in the real world. So just inspiring younger minority women to do your thing, sis, and stay true to yourself.
That was my answer too. I definitely seek to inspire
Black girl magic
for real. People that women that look like me, little girls that look like me, that's come from the same background that I come from. Just to let y'all know that it's okay. Exactly what you said is what I had in my notes. It's okay to show up 100% as yourself and who you are. Because I was at one point in my life, because I guess growing up in our generation, we had to like code switch sometimes and think that we had to show up a certain way in order to be accepted in different environments. And at one point in my life, I was just like, no, I'm going to be me. I know that I'm intelligent. I know who I am. I know where I'm going, and me showing up how I am isn't going to stop none of that. It ain't going to take away from anything that I have going on. And I do want to let others know that you can do it.
I feel like, I don't know if you can maybe relate to this, but I felt like whenever I started being true and genuine to myself, my clientele took off. Yeah. Like it was more relatable. I mean, I think like I was pretty true to myself, but like again, the code switching, working in environments, like when I'm in the hospital and I have to be different. But when I got to a place where I was being genuine to myself, I felt like my clientele increased. Everybody was like, oh, I saw this video of you, or I read this profile, or I saw this, and like I could just relate to you, or I just really like the way you said this. So for me, I figured that like once I started doing and staying true to myself, things just fell into place and started working out.
Because people connect more to that. Seeing a piece of themselves in you, it makes them feel like, okay, well, I can be like that, or I can do that too. And it gives you that jump to be like, okay, well, if she doing it, she look like me, she, resembles my personality, I got this too.
Exactly.
Yeah, like that genuineness part of it, we forget about that. A lot of people don't stay true to themselves. I answered this calling, working for juvenile probation. It was in a facility, all males, majority black male. Didn't see one therapist that looked like me, or well, not a black male. I've seen the black female, some, Caucasian female, some Latinas or whatnot. But those boys was comfortable sitting down and coming to me, that they know that I related. I knew that I wanted to pursue something beyond, that form, that aspect of criminal justice, specializing in juvenile justice. And that's why I answered this calling, and ever since then, I'm like, I'm gonna be me, even in my program, I graduated from Sam Houston. I was the only black male in my cohort or whatnot. So
I didn't know you graduated from Sam.
Yes.
Me too. And CJ, I knew you were a CJ major. Okay. We got more in common than I knew.
So, but even then, there were a lot of questions of, even with, my style, I went with Gestalt or whatever being one of my baseline, my frameworks or whatnot. And a lot of people question, will this work with your demographic or whatnot? And I'm like, obviously it's me being me. And I recently resigned from working at an elementary school, and even going and telling the kids, that was going to be our last time spending this much time together. It was very emotional. And I got to see from all 600 of those children, even ones that was not in my grade level I work with, the impact that I made. So I was like, I'm giving back. I'm going back to my hood, my neighborhood, and doing those things. So that is who I aspire to reach, not only young black males, but black people, period.
Yeah.
Marginalized people, period.
Definitely.
And so the last question, what's one thing you can do to get closer to that place of impact that you're seeking? I know for me, I've been trying to real life hold myself accountable more in everything that I do, and remain consistent and remind myself of what I'm trying to do, who I'm trying to impact, what the goal is, and really live in it.
I think for me, it's going to be doing more things like this, like going on different platforms, normalizing therapy, normalizing mental health, opening up the conversation about it. So I think just putting it out there more, because again, there's still, unfortunately, so many hard stigmas against mental health, especially in our community. And that's the community that I want to impact the most. So using my platform and whatever platforms that God blesses me to continue to speak on, and just continuing to advocate for it's okay to not be okay and get some help.
Yes.
Right on.
On top of that, remembering who I am, like going back to that reflective question, who am I?
Yeah.
Like I said, I ask myself that, and I'm intentional with that, because sometimes, you do fall by the wayside or whatever, and you have to reel yourself back in. So remembering who I am and being able to be that advocate or whatnot of what I believe in and what my people say that they need or whatnot, because it's there, we're speaking with so many people. It's like, oh, I didn't know this existed. I didn't know this resource was there. So utilizing platforms such as this, going out into the community, engaging, being hands-on and asking those questions. Well, what do you need? How may I help you get to where you need to go?
Well, I want to thank y'all for joining me today and giving y'all's professional insight on these topics that we need to cover, because it's so important. And I want to thank you guys for joining us again on this week's episode of Conversation with Friends. I ask that you guys go and follow my YouTube page, The Conversation with Friends Pod, Instagram, Conversations with Friends _pod, and keep up with us every Monday. New episode is dropping. And until the next time, we out. Peace.
Bye, y'all.